And now, you're tuned in to RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
Salutations, listeners. Welcome aboard the most thrilling podcast, Pirate Ship on the airwaves. I'm one of your hosts tonight, and you are tuning into RBLR Bucs, where we're about to set sail on an exhilarating journey. I don't think there's a word in the dictionary as to how fired up I am. In case you don't know, our first game is just a few days away, and the excitement around town is absolutely palpable. The cannons are loaded, the crew is ready, and the regular season football fiesta is about to start. But wait, before we dive headfirst into the heart-pounding drama of this season, let's take a moment to appreciate our loyal listeners who stuck with us through the treacherous offseason and grueling preseason. We're proud of you, the true Buccaneers faithful, for braving the stormy seas of the offseason alongside us. Together, we've kept the pirate ship afloat, and now it's time to set sail towards victory. As the saying goes, a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. Our Buccaneers are built for greatness, and this podcast is your compass to navigate the turbulent waters of the NFL season ahead. So, raise the anchor, unfurl the sails, and let's embark on a journey filled with touchdowns, tackles, and triumphs that will leave us all chanting, "Fire the cannons!" Well, that being said, I got two off-season, preseason survivors with me tonight, and they are also my spectacular co-hosts. He is the wind in our sails, steering us towards football greatness. He is Zach Blaine. Zach, how you doing tonight, man?
What's going on, brother? How are you?
So far, so good, man. I am just ecstatic. All right, we are only a few days away. Oh, it just feels so good. Honestly, it really does.
I'm telling you, man, I'm ready to get out of these off-season shows and finally get to talk about what we saw on the field. I cannot wait.
Right on, right on. And to my left, with his sharp analysis and unwavering support for our team, he's the anchor that keeps us grounded in the worlds of Buck football. We got Carter Brantley in the house tonight. What's the good word, Carter?
Oh man, the good word is that intro you just spit. Shoot. But it's another week closer to regular season football. It's finally here. Definitely super excited for that. And looking forward to this show. We'll get right into it because there was kind of a lot of Bucs news this week. Not anything super major or anything, but a lot of small things, and those small things can kind of pile up. But obviously the biggest news is the first game of the week. Bucs taking on the Vikings, and we'll get into that. But first, we'll definitely have to start with some kind of crappy news. Apparently, the Mike Evans contract negotiations have hit a snag, which I don't know if there was ever any point in the season in which we really say they were going well. But they've officially, it's all come to a head, and Mike Evans has kind of said, "Hey, if this show ain't coming, then I'm not really looking to stay around." So I don't know. It's a tough situation. Obviously, he's a lifelong Bucs. He's been the best offensive player in Bucs history. He's had just a ridiculous start to his career, and at this point, he's kind of he's a savvy veteran, but he still has some years of production left, I think. But I don't know. It's definitely a tough proposition. I'll just say my piece and then let y'all get your thing in. But it's a tough proposition to pay a guy as old as he is, the amount of money that he's looking to get, because he's looking for Cooper Kupp money, which is tough. I know he's been a very productive wide receiver, but I don't know. It's hard for a team that doesn't have an established quarterback. They don't really have anyone on this roster that's permanent. I think that everyone's it's a very weird transition period. So to resign a veteran, an older guy like Mike Evans would be kind of difficult, but that's just my opinion. But how about y'all? First of all, what would y'all do if, let's say, everything goes haywire and the contract doesn't get signed? Do you wait until the trade deadline to trade him? Do you trade him at all? Or do you maybe try to be a little proactive and trade him sooner? Zach, we'll start with you. Let's say that, stuff hits the fan and it's not going well. What do you do about it?
Okay, before I answer that, you said something that I've been hearing a lot of is he wants Cooper Kupp money. Like, I feel like people are saying that as if Kupp is a 26-year-old wide receiver. Isn't he 30 as well?
Yeah, but the Rams paid him,
Well, and that's what I'm saying. But everyone's like making it sound like this deal is only good for 24, 25-year-olds when literally the contract that we're comparing it to is another 30-year-old who got paid. I think he's worth it. I would do everything I can to sign him. I think he's a lifer as a Buck. If it goes that way and Tampa says, look, we're not going to give you that kind of money, I think get the most value you can out of him. And I think that that's going to be either right now or right at the trade deadline when there's a contender who is going to throw some stupid offer at you that you wouldn't normally get because they need a wide receiver drastically for their playoff run. That's not me saying that Tampa's not going to make a playoff run. I stand by my previous statements in other episodes. But I think that the most value we're going to get is either right now by some dumb team that's going to give it to us or a playoff team at the trade deadline that's just going to overpay because they need a wide receiver bad.
Fair enough. I guess I was using the Cooper Kupp example because the Rams are in such a bad place as a franchise. Like, I don't think that the Rams are a very successful team right now, unfortunately. They mostly did that Cooper Kupp deal just because they felt like they could be Super Bowl contenders, which obviously at this point now they're not anymore. The Bucs are not in that place. They're not in a place where they need to keep Mike Evans so that they can keep competing for the Super Bowl or staying in the playoff hunt. Like, none of that is true, unfortunately. So I guess that's where I was kind of trying
that we know of. It could happen. It could very well happen.
It could. But anyways, Mustafa, how about you? Maybe you have a different perspective, or maybe you're kind of in the same boat as Zach.
Yeah, kind of in the same boat. I mean, look, Antoine Winfield, Devin White Evans, David, they're all going to be free agents next year, as Winfield was a must sign. I'd love to see Levante and Mike end their careers as Bucks, but if the front office decides to rebuild, I don't blame them. Obviously, he's looking for that kind of Cooper Kupp kind of money. But for me, I'll probably just say wait until the trade deadline. It does hurt to say just because, he is a lifetime Buck. I'm repping him right now. Shout out Mike Evans. But, that means, we better have a nice deal going on. But I don't know. It's really about it. It's kind of icky situation, in my opinion. To me, kind of just came a little bit out of nowhere. But I don't know. I feel like there also needs to be a little bit more optimism about our future as well. And perhaps that's not there right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. I definitely see the fact that I'm being very glass half empty kind of guy. I'm definitely being the pessimist of the group. But I don't know. It's hard. Like I said, it's just hard to vouch for paying there's that baseball term, or I guess it's kind of a baseball term, but it's really just a business term, the opportunity cost. If you re-sign Mike Evans to this big time deal, then I don't want to call it a big time deal, but if you re-sign Mike Evans and give him a substantial amount of money, then you might not be able to fill your roster out in other areas that you might need a little bit more than an aging wide receiver. But again, like you said, Mike Evans has been great. He could continue to be great for a few more years, and that would be the duration of the contract. So I don't know. It's really hard to say at this point. Obviously, the clock's kind of ticking. If they don't get a contract extension soon, then Evans has said that he's not interested in trying to negotiate during the season. So I don't know. Things are looking kind of difficult. But in other kind of tough news, although y'all might be a little bit happy about it, Keyshawn Vaughn, the running back, unexcused absence from practice today, according to head coach. Yeah, this could have to do with a little unofficial depth chart that was released that had him really low. I don't know, but hopefully everything's okay with him. Hopefully he's doing okay. But regardless, it was an unexcused absence. Todd Bowles wouldn't give any further details. Maybe he didn't know what the details were. He could very well just be as out of the loop as everyone else. But regardless, is it time? Is it time to cut loose? Because hopefully he's okay, but again, it's tough to see a guy underperform, and then now it's just a bit weird. So Musab, we'll start with you. I know you're you might not be as big of a Keyshawn Vaughn hater as Zach Blaine. Maybe you are, and you just kind of disguise it. But is it time?
Yeah, it's time, and I'll tell you this right now. I mean, for those listening to the podcast and who can't see us, I am playing the world's smallest violin for Keyshawn Vaughn right now. That's what I'm doing. Uh, I mean, I don't know. It just seems like he's kind of throwing like an RB4 tantrum. I mean, honestly, I do hope that everything is going fine. I hope nothing's serious. But if that's not the case, then yeah, I just think that he's a little bummed out about his future as a Buccaneer. I mean, I don't know if this guy's even going to suit up for us, being that he is our fourth running back right now. Listen, he had all the opportunities. It didn't work out, and that's really about it. People like Sean Tucker really stood out, and I think he really earned his spot. And I don't know. That's really about it, though. I don't really feel sorry. I don't know. I'll tell you this. He should be lucky he's even on the depth chart, because otherwise he can just go take a hike if he's really this fussy about it.
Fair enough, man. Yeah, geez, that's completely fair. I'm with you, Musab. I think it's time. I remember when he got drafted, and I was like, "Oh, the Bucs still might sign Leonard Fournette," and there were all these Bucs fans that just went, "Oh, they got Keyshawn Vaughn, man. He was a 1,000-yard rusher in the SEC," and I was like, "Oh, okay." Like, all right, good for him. And anyways, I'm not trying to pile on, but it is kind of funny. Zach, how about you? I know you're a big Keyshawn Vaughn fan, so give us your.
I love him. I mean, I want to start it by saying, like, kind of what we've all preached. I hope everything is okay with him. I don't ever want to wish any ill will towards anyone, especially not someone who played for our franchise. But at the end of the day, if you're just not showing up because you didn't get your way, that's possibly the most whiny thing I've ever seen in my life, and it's just ridiculous. Like, I have a 4-year-old who doesn't do that. So to me, it just seems childish. And again, this is all speculation. If it isn't anything bad, like, which I hope it's not, I hope that my speculation is right, that he's just whining. But I mean, I would rather see Patrick Laird in there anyway. Give me Patrick Laird. Well, really, that's the only other running back on our team that I'd ever want to replace Keyshawn Vaughn right now, because Musab said it. He's gotten his chance, and he hasn't taken that chance. So to me, I said it a couple episodes. I think it may have been last episode. I'm ready for him to be gone. I am shocked that he made the roster anyway.
Yeah, I'm with y'all. I think it's time. Like y'all have been saying, hopefully it's not anything serious, but assuming that it's just him being kind of, like you said, a little bit childish about it, then yeah, it's probably time to move on, part ways. He's been a bit of a disappointment. He hasn't quite lived up to that third round billing, which I know a third round pick is still not anything really to write home about, but it's still a bit disappointing to spend that type of pick on someone and them just be so kind of blah, just there. So yeah, I'm with y'all. It's pretty much time to move on. But y'all have mentioned the RB4 thing, which is alluding, of course, to those that haven't seen to the unofficial depth chart that the Bucs released. They have a bunch of stuff on there, kind of just preliminary preview of what to expect, kind of with their starters. Some highlights or maybe some surprises, I guess you could call them, would be Robert Hainsey at center. That was kind of a competition, so he won it out. And like Musab mentioned, Sean Tucker, the backup running back. That's kind of a big surprise for me. But what's y'all's biggest surprise for this unofficial depth chart? Zach, we'll start with you. What was your kind of, oh, shoot, I didn't expect that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the biggest one had to have been Sean Tucker getting RB2, because I think it was last episode we were talking about there was rumors that he was all the way down at RB4. So to see this one come out and it be more promising for him as an undrafted guy is awesome. Another one, I think you had touched on it in our group chat, but Logan Hall over William Golston was kind of surprising, because realistically, William Golston has shown more. Like he's always been here. He's always shown more. But maybe this will light a fire under Logan Hall's butt and he can show us something, hopefully.
Yeah, that's yeah, I mean, it's definitely a big opportunity for Logan Hall. That was going to be my pick for the biggest surprises, just because, I don't know, William Golston, like you said, he's the more proven option. Logan Hall seemed to struggle a little bit last year at times, but at the same time, they spent well, it was a second round pick, but it was their first pick of the draft. So I kind of think of it as their quote first round pick unquote. And they need to kind of, I don't want to say commit to him, but they need to give him a chance. So I give him credit for that. And that's definitely a valuable thing. Musab, how about you? What's kind of your big surprise from the unofficial depth chart that was released?
Nothing that you guys haven't mentioned already. But what I will say is, if anything, I do expect, or I wouldn't be surprised if the whole Logan Hall, William Golston situation changes and Golston becomes a starter. I think it's just maybe just as of right now, let's just see what Hall's got. We have high expectations, or we had high expectations of him earlier, and hopefully maybe he finally fulfills those. But as Zach said, yeah, we've already seen a lot more from Golston, and I just think that's more kind of just insurance saying, hey, let's just see what the young Bucs got. And if it doesn't work out, then at least we got Golston.
Yeah, it's a great point. It's not like this is a static, unchangeable, set in stone kind of thing. They could change it by, week one. They could come Sunday and they could be like, actually, we changed our mind. We're going to put William Golston out there as a starter instead of Logan Hall. Plus, it's going to be a constant rotation. Guys are going to come in and out, in and out. So, it's certainly not a thing that's set in stone. So that's a great point. They might have just said, hey, Logan, you've worked hard in the training camp. We'll go out there and show us what you got. So, hopefully that's the case, and hopefully he takes the opportunity and runs with it. So now we're right up against week one. We're right up against the season starting. So we got to go predictions. The preseason's happened, training camp, the off season, everything's going on. So how do y'all think the Bucs are going to do record wise and standings finish? Musab, we'll start with you. What's your record prediction for the Bucs and where they finish in the NFC South?
For me, my prediction is, since maybe a couple of weeks ago, I am feeling a lot more optimistic, and I'm going 10-7 for our Buccaneers. I think it might be a little bit more of a little bit of a reach, but that is under the condition that our starters stay healthy. If they get banged up just because it's football, then that's fine. But I'm expecting, something along the lines of 10-7. I do feel that we got a nice young team. I just think that maybe we may have a little bit of a slow start, but I think we'll pick it up for sure. I mean, we got a lot of studs out there. I think we have a lot of potential. We got a whole new kind of offensive strategy now with our new offensive coordinator, Dave Canales. I think that he brings a lot to the table, especially what I saw, especially with that last game against the Ravens. I was seeing a lot of cool things going on. So I'm showing optimism, and that's going to be my thing, 10-7. Now for our kind of standing finish, at least something about the NFC South. It's an ugly division. I don't think anyone's going to dominate, the other three. So for that reason, I think it's going to be a battle for the first between the Saints and us. But I don't know. I'm staying optimistic. I really do think that we have a shot at being the first in the NFC South.
So you say they win the division?
They win the division. I'm going with that.
I think if the Bucs go 10-7, they win the division pretty easily.
Yeah.
I was going to say 10-7 is not a close race in my opinion.
Yeah, because 8-9 won it last season, and the division got worse. Like I don't think it got
100%.
Yeah, 10-7. That's a very optimistic pick, but a solid pick. I respect it. Mine is unfortunately 5-12. I'm going opposite end of the spectrum.
You're wrong. We could just end the conversation there. You're wrong.
All right. Well, hey,
I'm kidding, Carter. I want to hear your reasoning. I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, I know. But if I end up being right, you're gonna eat your words. But I think they're gonna end up third. I think the Carolina Panthers end up bringing out the bottom of the division. I just think the Bucs just have a lot of problems. Unfortunately, that offensive line is questionable. So even with the best quarterback back there, I mean, you saw Tom Brady struggle last season. The running game it's not like they've made any big improvements or anything. So I think that removing Tom Brady from a 7 or 8-9 team is going to just be kind of tough. But again, what the hell do I know? That's my pick. 5-12, third place finish. Zach, go for it, big fella. What's your prediction?
All right, Musab. So I was bouncing back and forth from 2, and 10-7 was one of my options as well. But I ended up falling on 9-8. I think that we go above 500. Plus, I need us to win at least 8 games to get cookies from Carter's mom. So I'm going 9-8. I do think that 9-8 wins us the division. I don't think that anyone got significantly better this year. Like Carter mentioned, I think that this season, in fact, maybe got worse. The Saints brought in a better quarterback. I'll give them that. but they also aren't a very good team.
Yeah, they got
So,
old. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think that we're going to end up seeing the Panthers finish last, and it's going to be the Falcons, Saints, and then us at 9-8.
All right, fair enough. Look, like I said, I've been wrong way more than I've been right, so I could be wrong, but that's just my pick. Now for a more kind of broader perspective, who's y'all's Super Bowl winner and your MVP prediction? I got the Eagles winning the Super Bowl. I had them winning last year, and I just think they're just too good of a team to not do it. But I've got Josh Allen as my MVP. He's been playing real well the past few years. Really has really come into his own in Buffalo. And I just think, the voters want to give it to someone other than Patrick Mahomes because you know how voter fatigue works. They don't want to vote for actually the best player every year. They want to get a little cute with it. And Josh Allen's really good too. Let's give him the MVP. So I think he's going to have a great year. He's had great years for the past few years, and I think he'll have another one. And I think he'll finally, break through and win MVP. Musab, how about you? Who's your Super Bowl and MVP prediction?
Oh man, these are always so kind of just hard to think about, other than thinking about like the top teams. And I'm going with the Eagles as well, just because this is a team that barely lost last year, and they're looking even more stacked this year. All right.
Yeah.
So I really do think that they have a shot. And for my MVP, I'm thinking it goes to Joe Burrow as long as he stays healthy. I was also thinking, who else other than Patrick Mahomes? But yeah, it just can't be Mahomes, and I hope it isn't Mahomes because I get sick of those kind of things, seeing the same kind of MVP over and over again. So I'm gonna go with Joe Burrow.
Yeah, I think I can speak for all of us when I say we're all tired of Kansas City already.
127%.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Zach, how about you? Who's your Super Bowl and MVP picks?
All right, I'm gonna go a little different than you guys. I love Josh Allen, and I think that's a great call. So for that reason, I think the Buffalo Bills win the Super Bowl this year.
Ooh, okay.
I think they're a team that no one really talks about, which is kind of wild. Like obviously we all talk about Josh Allen, but I think that the Bills are an underrated team as a whole, and I think Sean McDermott is a great coach. I think that's a team that could surprise people this year and make a very deep run, and is going to be my vote to win the Super Bowl. And then my MVP, hear me out, Trevor Lawrence.
Wow.
Okay. Listen, I know that team is not known for being very good or having MVP level players. I think Trevor Lawrence is going to surprise a lot of people more this year.
Yeah, I don't think that's a completely out of left field pick. I actually kind of like that pick because he plays in a really weak division too.
Very weak division.
Yeah, the two South divisions are horrible. So he could easily put up, 5,000 passing yards. Jacksonville's got a team. They got some really
exactly. That's kind of like from listening or thinking about it back like 10 years ago. You're like, oh, the Jaguars. But like today, I feel like everyone still kind of looks at them and they're like, it's the Jaguars. Like, they haven't done anything.
Right.
And they haven't, but this team is so well put together that I think they could surprise. They're not going to win a Super Bowl this year, but I could see Trevor Lawrence just putting up godly numbers this season.
For sure. No, they're going to be very competitive. They're going to be a very good team. They're my pick to win that division, and I think they'll run away with it pretty easily. So yeah, I'm with you. I think Trevor Lawrence could be a really kind of a dark horse. I know that term is overused, but a dark horse MVP.
Yeah, exactly.
The only trepidation I have with the Bills is just that it's the Bills. Like, I feel like they were the sexy Super Bowl team to pick last season. Like last year, everyone was like, "Oh, look at the Bills, are so good," and it's like they just went out and folded against the Bengals. Like, it just seems like that Bills curse. I have a hard time, picking the Bills to win anything because
that's totally fair. Because look at it; they haven't really done anything either in the last forever. So, like, would I be shocked if they didn't win the Super Bowl? Of course not. I wouldn't be shocked if they didn't even make it to the Super Bowl. But I just think that it's one of those things where Josh Allen is going to get his chance to be like that guy in the league, because I think that he has the potential to be that guy. Like, he's never going to outdo Patrick Mahomes as being like everyone's favorite. But I think that Josh Allen is a stud, and that whole offense really is just. And they picked up Damian Harris, like that. They're going to be good.
Yeah, it's a Super Bowl team on paper, without a doubt.
Yeah, exactly.
It's just all about putting it all together. But another Super Bowl option, if you're looking for one in the fashion sense, is definitely the RBLR.
Okay.
Definitely got to check that out. Unlike the Bills, they are going to, win the championship every time, take home the trophy for being the flyest stuff out there. So definitely got to check it out. Shop.rblrsports.com. And, since the season's starting, we got to give you a 10% off promo code. It's Cannon, CANNONS. Enter that bad boy in at the end of your order, and you'll get 10% off. So definitely got to check that out. So anyways, after that shameless shot plug, we'll move on to a little bit lighter subject. Before we get into the preview of the Vikings game, what's y'all's game day snack of the week? It's week 1. It's the first regular season game of the season. I know y'all are going to be grubbing. So I got to hear y'all's game day snack of the week. Zach, we'll start with you. What are you munching down on once it comes Sunday?
You can't go wrong with the classic Tostinos, pizza rolls, like probably my go-to snack, but they have this new thing at Sonic, not a sponsor, but they have this new thing at Sonic that is the buffalo chicken bites.
I've seen those, yeah. The commercials, yeah.
So I saw commercials. I was skeptical. I was like, there's no way they're good. I'm telling you, you take one, you get some ranch, you dip that bad boy in some ranch. It is phenomenal. So I'm probably going to grab a couple bags of those and some pizza rolls, and I'm going to go all out this Sunday.
Word, hell yeah. You definitely seem like the target market for those buffalo chicken things.
100%.
I mean that in the nicest way.
Yeah, no, agreed. I agree with you 100%.
Because I'm the target market for all those like burger commercials. I'm a sucker for burgers. So that might be my pick. I might go to Steak and Shake, I get a garlic steak burger from Steak and Shake.
Oh, that's my favorite burger.
It's fantastic. It's
now,
so greasy. It's so awful for you. I always feel like crap afterwards, and it's always worth it. Like, it's fantastic.
Back home, do you guys still have the garlic powder that you can put, like the garlic and the stuff they put on top of the burger to put in your fries?
Oh, yeah. Nah, I mean, I don't get that through the drive-through. They might have it like inside or something if you ask for it.
They don't have it here in Tennessee.
Oh, word. Yeah,
because I used to get that same burger and I put that same seasoning on my fries. Oh my god, dude!
Yeah, no, I know what you're talking about, the Steak and Shake seasoning. Yeah, I used to put that stuff on everything.
So good.
Yeah, gas. Musab, how about you? What's your game day snack for week 1?
Oh man, game day snack. I don't know. I just cleaned up the grill just because with hurricane. I'm already forgetting the name of it already.
Dahlia.
Yeah, Dahlia. Yeah. Because of Hurricane Adalia, my parents were like, "Oh, like let's get a nice new little propane tank, and we might have to fire up the grill a little bit, in case of an emergency." So cleaned the hell out of that grill, and we didn't use it then. So I think it's finally time to use it now. So I'm probably just gonna be cooking me up some hot dogs. I got these thing called samosas that are really popular in India and Pakistan. There's this new Indian store down the road, not a sponsor. But yeah, it's a brand new. Not yet. But yeah, man, they just came out with these kind of like they're like basically like pizza roll, but basically there's beef inside them.
They're
kind of spicy. Yeah, you know what they are. So yeah, man, they're delicious. I'm just gonna throw them in the air fryer, and that's really about it. Might just have a nice Coke or something with it.
Musab, that's my favorite snack of the week so far.
I was gonna say, I think you just won that. It's not even a competition, but you somehow won, bro.
We're bringing up Steak and Shake burgers and Sonic buffalo chicken thing.
Meanwhile, we got the Glizzy God over here.
Yeah,
Glizzy and samosas. That's what it is.
Yeah, no, that sounds delicious. That
really does.
That sounds like something that I might have to have in my house too.
Make sure you try them out.
Definitely a good choice. So obviously, week 1 they're taking on the Vikings. The Bucs are not the samosas, but the Bucs are heading to Minnesota. They're playing, Kirk Cousins and the Minnesota Vikings. Is there one thing that you're looking for from the Bucs on both sides of the ball, like one thing offensively and one thing defensively? Zach, we'll start with you. What's one thing you're looking for from both sides of the ball, or maybe some special teams if you want to throw that in? That's up to y'all, though. I don't really have anything for that.
Yeah, I think for offense, it's got to be Baker. How comfortable Baker is with all the starters, because I know that we saw most of the starters in the final preseason game, but we haven't seen him really throw to Mike Evans. We saw him throw to Chris Godwin for one drive. Like, I think that this first game is one of the harder games we have all season. Not the hardest, but one of the hardest games we have all season. So I want to see how he comes out and handles that. Like, I think at this point we're all kind of not expecting him to win this game. So I kind of want to see how he takes either a loss or hopefully not him playing bad, but just how he reacts to it. On defense, Justin Jefferson is a god. So I don't even want to like bring up our defensive backs playing against him. I want to look more into our linebackers playing coverage on guys like TJ Hawkinson. I think that's going to be what could make or break this game. If we can't cover Hawk, then I think that there's no point. There's no hope for us.
Right. Yeah, because you're not going to be able to cover Jefferson. So the hope is that you can kind of cover everyone else.
Yeah, exactly. Make him beat us.
For sure. Yeah. We saw how, I mean, that's a great point. Definitely see your point about Baker taking care of the football. And we saw, how about you? What are your things that you're looking for on both sides of the ball?
Looking for a little bit of diversity on the offensive side. Obviously, I'm looking for chemistry working out real well with Baker and the rest of the guys, of course. But for me, I'm looking for kind of something what we kind of saw with, against the Ravens in the preseason, kind of a little bit of that play action stuff. But on the defensive side, yeah, I mean, it's going to be a big challenge to lock up someone like Justin Jefferson, of course. So if not Jefferson, then who's right behind him? I'm looking at, TJ Hawkinson. So I'm expecting kind of the D-line overall just to be super aggressive and apply as much as pressure as we can. I know it might take a little bit of time, but what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping we don't make the same mistakes over and over again, this upcoming game. I hope we don't keep on seeing the same mistakes. But I don't know. I guess we'll find out.
For sure. Yeah. And kind of going off of that diversity thing, I think a big thing I'm looking for offensively is, like you said, balance, just some kind of running game, just not like a 20 carry, 60-yard performance. The Bucs are not going to, they're going to be maybe worse than 5-12 if they have that kind of running game, because if that's what's going to happen this season, then you can just pack everything up. It's not going to be good. So yeah, definitely I love the word diversity you use, Musab. Definitely some kind of balance, diversity, just something else, because last season wasn't it. So definitely a little bit of a change.
We've got to have big plays this year too. I think that's something that we don't really talk about last year as much about last season. We didn't really have any big plays. Like, we've got to be able to have some chunk runs. We have to be able to have some deep passes. And I think that this is when it all starts. Like, week 1 is when we're going to see if they're even going to be able to do that stuff. For sure.
Yeah. And we're talking about a lot of stuff that we want to see from the Bucs, obviously as fans or as viewers. But I also want to take a step back, big picture, like 1,000 feet up in the air. It is just one game. It is week 1. It's the first time for a new quarterback, a lot of new guys. So as much as I would love to see all of this happen, it is important to kind of keep it in the back of your head as you're watching the game. Like, hey, this is week 1. This is one game. If they go out and get blown out, it happens. Lord knows that they got blown out by the Saints in the year, like twice, the year that they won the Super Bowl. So it happens. Great teams just have bad games. And it's week 1. If you're gonna have a bad game, make it week 1. Yeah,
right, exactly.
So it's all good. But again, like y'all have been saying, there are definitely some things that you'd love to see, just to see some kind of something to cling on to for hope, assuming that maybe they don't win this game, unfortunately. So bouncing off of that. What else are some X factors for the team in each game, or for each team in this one? Like maybe specific players or maybe position groups, kind of some things that are maybe under the radar. Obviously, like Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, the big names are going to be there. But maybe some guys that are flying under the radar that maybe you think the general public or maybe most fans aren't thinking of. For me, it's on Minnesota. It's Jordan Addison, definitely the first round pick. He had an amazing career at USC, obviously an incredibly productive player in college. But it's the big time, it's the big leagues, and he's playing, I don't want to say with a lot of pressure, but there is pressure that comes with being a first-round pick. Plus, he's playing with the best wide receiver in football right now. So if you can't get open with him, then I don't know when you're going to get open, my man. So that's kind of my thinking. And for the Bucs, it's definitely got to be the O-line, just because the Vikings have Danielle Hunter. Plus, the Bucs offensive line is definitely not solidified. I think that there's a little bit of a question mark when it comes to that position group. So I think if they play even relatively well, if they just mesh together a little bit, the Bucs could maybe steal one, which would be great. So those are my two X factors. Musab, how about you? What are your two X factors from each team for this game?
Yeah, my X factor, at least for the Vikings, is I'm looking at TJ Hawkinson. I mean, I do think that someone like Jordan Addison will, you know, should do well, I guess. But then again, it's week one. We got a whole long season for every single one of us. So I think it's going to take a little bit of time for him to learn. But I'm looking at Hawkinson just because I think he did pretty good, with the Detroit Lions. And I mean, now he's working with a whole different team now. There's going to be all eyes on, Justin Jefferson. And, obviously it's going to have to go somewhere else, of course, at times. So that's what I'm looking at. Now for our team, this is a good one. Yeah, I hear you giggling, Zach.
There's a lot that
there's a whole lot. Yeah, there's a whole lot that we'll need to do. I'll probably say the X factor is probably just the run game, for our run game to complement our pass game. I'm hoping things will work out well with Baker and our wide receivers, and I'm hoping that if we are to diversify our plays and all that, that our running backs, specifically Rashad White and Sean Tucker, are able to do something against the Vikings defense.
Absolutely, yeah, and I love that Hawkinson mentioned just because he played so well after he got traded from Detroit last season. So he's kind of and he got a big contract extension this offseason. So him and Addison both.
If I'm not mistaken.
What's that?
I said the biggest, if I'm not mistaken, the biggest tight end.
It wouldn't surprise me because, I mean, he's top three, really. I mean, it's him, Mark Andrews, and then kind of a big gap, and then Travis Kelce. But still, him and Mark Andrews are top three.
Yeah.
George Kittle's up there, so he's an elite tight end. But yeah, he had a strong end of the year last year. Him and Kirk Cousins seemed to have a good rapport. So yeah, he's a big X factor for this game. Zach, how about you? What are your X factors for this week one matchup?
I know that I'm a huge Baker fan, but I think like he's got to be the biggest X factor for us, because if he can't control the ball, if he can't keep the turnovers limited, if he can't hit the open passes, then we're going to be in trouble. So on our side, I've got Baker. On Minnesota side, I think you got the perfect one in Jordan Addison. I talked him up all the draft episodes we did. I talked about Jordan Addison. He dominated at two schools and is coming in, and he's going to just, I think, be a very, very, very good player. And when you've got guys like Justin Jefferson and TJ Hawkinson, you kind of said it perfect. Like, if you can't get open there, then maybe you shouldn't be playing football.
Right.
So I think that he could have a very big game. He's on my fantasy team, and if he wasn't playing the Bucs, I would have already started him. But even that he's playing the Bucs, I'm still tempted to start him because I think he's going to have a very good game.
For sure. I think Jordan Addison's a great under the radar fantasy pickup. I mean, how under the radar can it be when it's a first round pick? But still,
exactly.
He's definitely a good one. And yeah, we've got our podcast fantasy draft after this episode. So
we got 30 minutes, 6 minutes.
Well,
I got the first overall pick. I did just find that out. I know, ironic. I created it, but I didn't. The draft setup is random. I swear to God.
It's rigged, bro. You set up the draft league and everything. It's rigged.
Telling you.
Anyway,
random. I didn't change anything.
Word. Right. We'll let y'all know how that goes. And since obviously Zach has rigged it so that he has every first round pick and no one else gets to pick him.
It's a snake draft. It's going to be Justin Jefferson's coming over to high quality H2O, and that's all I know.
Yuck. Anyways, moving on. So we've mentioned X factors and things that we're looking for from the Bucs, and I think we've kind of got this vibe that maybe we don't expect the Bucs to win this game. But is there things that you think could go right for the Bucs for them to win? I think that it's very much within reach, especially any given Sunday, blah blah blah. But especially week one, random things happen. I mean, for goodness sake, the Colts beat the Kansas City last year, and Indianapolis was an awful team. So clearly, crazier things have happened than the Bucs beating the Vikings. So I think what really has to happen, the number one thing I think is if they win the turnover battle, I think the Bucs have a very good chance of winning this game. They can't tie it; they got to win it. They got to get a couple takeaways or get a few takeaways and make sure they take care of the football. If they do that, they could very well sneak in a W for Week 1, which obviously very big time start for a team that's kind of trying to find its identity. So that's my thing, is just taking care of the football and maybe creating some big time takeaways. Zach, how about you? What has to happen for the Bucs to win this game?
Yeah, I kind of touched on it earlier, but I think we have to have big plays. Maybe not a whole bunch of big plays, but we need to have at least a few big plays, because that big pass play is going to open up that play action pass, or it's going to open up the run game. I think that we need to be able to produce a run that's longer than 10 yards. Like, we have to be able to do these chunk plays and not just 2 yards here, 3 yards here. Like, we have to have big chunks of yards at a time in order for us to win this game.
Yeah, that's going to be big moving forward throughout the season. I know you mentioned it earlier in the episode, and yeah, I mean, it's a great point, because Tom Brady was a master at, just kind of dink and doinks, as Musab would say, and just kind of running the offense and making it easy and kind of doing his thing. But he's not here anymore. This is a different offense. It's a different era. It's a different team. So yeah, the big play has to come back. Not. It can't just be Baker Mayfield just trying to throw bubble screens and little checkdowns every pass or every play. They got to have a little bit of spark, a little bit of energy. So yeah, I'm with you. That's definitely going to be key as well. Musab, how about you? What in your mind has to happen in this Week 1 matchup for the Bucs to take home a W?
Oh man, I feel like we've mentioned a lot already that we'll be needing to do, just because we really do need to do a lot against the Vikings, especially being it's Week 1. But yeah, if anything, I'm looking for some big plays to happen as well. I feel like we need to take any opportunity we can get to get some points on the board. And what I mean by that, I'm hoping that we can count on our kicker like Chase McLaughlin, of course, just because I don't know, it's going to be a battle for sure if we can even make it. But I don't know. There's just so much that we need to see. This is kind of a little trial as to when it actually matters for our Buccaneers. How do they do? So I guess we'll see. But we're gonna have to make some things happen. On the defensive side, there's just a lot we got to do on the defensive side. So I can go on and on. But when it comes to the offense, it's just making big things happen, of course.
Yeah, for sure. The defense is going to be a tough sell, because Kirk Cousins, we can make fun of him for his playoff performances and the weird chain thing and all that stuff, but he's a very productive regular season quarterback.
A very good quarterback.
For sure, a very good regular season quarterback, absolutely, 10 times out of 10. So, the Bucs are going to have to have their work cut out for them. He's throwing, obviously, that we've mentioned it, Jefferson and Addison and Hawkinson. He's also got a pretty decent offensive line. And while Dalvin Cook is a big name and he's moved on to the Jets, Alexander Mattison, their replacement, is still a pretty darn good running back to have, and he'll have room to run, because the Bucs are not going to be able to just load up the box. They gotta cover some pretty elite receiver options. So they're definitely gonna maybe leave a little bit more space for Mattison to work. So we'll see how all that goes. So what's y'all's predictions? We've kind of talked about it. Maybe not expecting a Bucs W. I'll get mine out of the way first. I do think the Bucs are unfortunately going to lose. And my score prediction for them is going to be a 28-20 loss. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I just think that the Vikings offense is pretty darn good. I think they'll have, last season the Vikings were specialists in comeback wins and close victories. And I don't see why that would change. I think that, a lot of it has to do with luck, but when you're playing a team that you're better than, which I think we can agree that the Vikings are a more talented team than the Bucs. You don't necessarily have to be lucky, but you can come out towards the end. And I just think that's what's going to happen. 28-20 Bucs loss, unfortunately. Musab, how about you? What's your score prediction and who you got winning?
Yeah, as much as I would want to see our Bucs win, I do see the Vikings winning this. I'm going 24-17. I do think that we will make it somewhat close, but there's going to be a few things that are going to separate the Vikings from us, which is going to cause them to win.
Yeah, I'm with you. It's the small things, and the Vikings also have the advantage of continuity. I don't know what the proper word is.
Continuity, yeah.
Yeah, continuity. There you go. Thanks, fellas. Continuity. Good Lord. And I call myself a writer. Anyways, continuity, yeah, they have that advantage. They don't have a new starting quarterback. They don't have a lot of moving pieces. So that's a big thing as well. For the Bucs, it's kind of almost preseason week 4, or preseason the fourth game of the preseason. So Zach, how about you? What's your score prediction? And do you think the Bucs are going to win?
All y'all being so negative. All right.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
28-17 Tampa.
Oh,
28-17 Tampa. Okay. Hey, I like
Right.
No, you know what? I'm changing it. I lied.
You lied?
I lied. 28-21.
28-21. All right.
Still Tampa, but it's going to be closer. I was trying to say 17 because it's not as close. And like you had mentioned, Minnesota was so good in close games last season. So I'm going to go 21-28. We pull away in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think this will be a close game if the Bucs win. But if they lose, it could get real ugly.
It's got the potential to be ugly.
Yeah, I don't think there's any world in which the Bucs run away with this game, unfortunately. No. But of course, we could all be wrong, and the Bucs go out and score 45 points and shut down the Vikings. But yeah, I don't necessarily see that happening. But one caveat to the whole Vikings playing well and close games is that maybe they were getting lucky last year. Maybe they were because they talk about that in baseball, the 1-run game record, like it's. It changes so much from year to year. Yeah. You can't really say that, they're really good in close games. Like, no, they just get really lucky. Of course, football is not nearly as luck-based as baseball, so it's kind of comparing apples and oranges. But I do think that'll be something interesting to watch from the Vikings perspective and from a Bucs perspective, specifically this game, if they can continue to be really good in close games or if they kind of fold and kind of shrivel under the pressure this season. So we'll see. Obviously, Zach is the only one of us that's optimistic. Usab and myself, we're both the pessimists of the group, but that's okay. But y'all have reached the end of the episode. We're kind of closing things down here. That fantasy draft is coming up soon, so we got to start getting ready for that. But we really appreciate y'all for tuning in. Without y'all, we'd just be 3 jackasses talking about, Bucs football. But
we'd still do it. It just wouldn't be as fun.
Exactly. That's exactly right. So if you've enjoyed what you heard, definitely hit the like and subscribe button. We already have 200 plus subscribers, and we're reaching for 500 next. So definitely, always striving, always prospering, that type of thing. So definitely check us out and hit that like and subscribe button if you wouldn't mind. Also, you can follow us on social medias at Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok at RBLR Sports. Check us out there. So we really appreciate y'all tuning in and sticking with us through the off season. It's the regular season, so next week we'll have a game to talk about. So that's exciting. Tune in next week. But as always, go Bucs.
Go Bucs.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.